Yeah. Oh, Sam,
That was, that's like $50,000 in advertising.
Oh my God. Bring it over. Wow. It went up to our ceiling. It went down.
That is unbelievable.
It's a miracle.
That is way better than Mentos and Pepsi. So I guess here you want me to taste some champagnes, which is great for me because what we're focusing on is Iron Horse, which I widely believe is probably the premier champagne, or you can't call it champagne, sparkling wine out of California. I've been a huge fan of their sparklers for a long, long time. And what we have here first is the Blanc de Blanc 2001 from Iron Horse, which means when it says Blanc de Blanc, it means that it's 100% Chardonnay. And then what we have over here is the Brut Rosé 2003, which is almost always predominantly Pinot Noir, sometimes a little bit of Pinot Meunier, which is a grape normally used just for champagne. And let me just say, this one's 81 Pinot Noir, has 19% Chardonnay as well. So to me, what's awesome and exciting about sparkling wine is that fundamentally, I think sparkling wine is really misused in the US. Most people use sparkling wine for bar mitzvahs and graduation and weddings, and fundamentally, sparkling wine is so food friendly. For example, I would rather have no other wine than a champagne or sparkling wine with a lobster. And hardly anybody does that. And so, you know, luckily we live in a city with a lot of great restaurants, and when I order it, a lot of the sommeliers get excited and like, oh, you know. I'm like, yeah, I know, a lot more than you think. Anyway, so to me, I think sparkling wine is something that it should be drank far more often in the US and in the world for that matter. And Iron Horse is really one of the, along with S. Anderson, one of the wineries that we should be most proud about from a quality standpoint. So this right here is 100% barrel fermented Chardonnay, the 2001 is it, I think? Yep, 2001 Blanc de Blanc. Now on the nose, what's really exciting about this is that there's almost like a lemon custard, almost like, remember Strawberry Shortcake? She had that like friend, lemon marmalade or something? I don't remember exactly, but if you smelt the little toys, they actually were scented that way. It smells more like that than the actual lemon custard. There's also a hint of almond shell, which I like quite a bit, and a tad of like a cinnamon toast crunch kind of component, which is pretty rad. Classic acidity. This is actually a lot less bubbly and acidic as many other sparkling wines. Has much more of a creaminess, which I think is something a lot of people would be fond of. Very solid stuff. I'm not exactly sure what this is rolling in retail-wise these days. Somewhere in the 20s, you know? Any by any chance?
30s, I think.
30s?
Sure.
Well, Wine Library would be in the 20s. So it's, you know, a $30 sparkler. I think this very much competes with the things that most people consume in the US market, whether it's Clicquot or Moet, PJ, very much easily in a blind tasting, I think stands up definitely to the top tier selling champagnes. There are a whole level of what I call grower champagnes that come in that I find a little bit more focused and clean, but this is very, very solid. Onto the rosé, which is so much fun. It's really unfortunate in the US market. So many people think of pink wines or sparkling wines as inferior because of White Zinfandel and what that's done branding wise. But in the champagne world, rosés command a far greater price because they're made of Pinot Noir grapes, which on the open market are far more expensive, especially after Hollywood told us to drink it. So Brut rosés are amazing and exciting, and I get a lot more excitement out of them normally. And exactly, I mean, right on the nose, just really wild, like rose petal kind of components coming through. Really subtle, like strawberries coming through as well, like small little ones that you get at Whole Foods and pay 5 times too much. Really nice. And on the mouthfeel, has a lot more backbone. To put it in layman's terms, it's got more charisma than the first wine. Again, very heavy on the strawberry components, high cherry flavor on the back end, which is real nice. But once again, to really sum up what I think about these sparklers in comparison to most sparkling wines, they're far more creamy and explosive on the palate, which I think is really kind of one of those dimensions that come down to where your flavor is. If you really love the acidity and the laser, like almost like switchblade on your tongue focus that a lot of champagnes bring to the table, this is not for you. If you're more towards regular good old-fashioned wine that has more weight to them, then these wines are definitely for you. This Brut Rosé is very good, and definitely one that I would recommend. I mean, once again, I've had a lot of great experience with Iron Horse. It's a great producer. They don't kill me, they're not changing my life, but they're more than adequate and definitely stand up to a lot of producers in Europe, and that's what I think about these two champagnes.